School of Worship is a 9-month program catered towards those who want to understand and grow in their abilities to lead worship, to lead a worship ministry in the context of the local church. Like I said, it's a 9-month program, and it's also catered towards the 9-to-5 worker. So somebody who may have a job, but also wants to grow in this calling that God has placed on their life. The school is centered around 3 pillars. The first pillar is theological training. So we want to be able to teach people to grow in our understanding of who God is. And so there are Tuesday night classes throughout the week, Tuesday evening classes, usually from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., where we talk about very practical topics and theologically rich topics. So usually a Tuesday night is split up into 2 sections. The first part of the night is going to be the main lesson, where we dig into a lot of different series like biblical theology, like how to read the Word of God faithfully. We talk about spiritual disciplines. We talk about discipleship, these core things that we are to learn and walk in as followers of Christ, not just as worship leaders, but as followers of Christ. The second half of the night is more practical things related to music. So we talk about music theory. We talk about how to construct a set list. We talk about new song selection, different things like that.
So practically speaking, some of the most helpful tools that I learned through the School of Worship were things that I use now in my daily task as a worship leader. Things like the Nashville number system, AVL setup that I had no idea about before, but I feel so much more equipped than whenever I first started the School of Worship. Things like constructing a set list, super practical things, whether that is your full-time role or if that is something that you just do on a volunteer basis. I feel like that's super important to learn and understand that it's not just going through the motions, but there's intentionality behind that.
So the first pillar, theological training. The second pillar of the school is spiritual formation. We don't only want just to know more about God, but we want to grow more in love with Him. It's all useless if we don't fall more deeply in love with Christ. And so spiritual formation is a pillar of the school. And we do this through times where we worship together.
Those were always a highlight, whether it was me leading or one of the teachers, or if it was the students. Those moments, those were great.
And then the last pillar is ministry application. So the expectation is, as a worship leader, you are leading at least once a month in your church. If you're local to this area, we like to keep people plugged into their local church, where they can practice in real time what is being taught.
I would encourage all local pastors to consider, to pray about sending their worship leaders or prospective worship leaders to the School of Worship, because again, it's not about sending them away somewhere so that they go and serve somewhere else, but it's about sending them to be trained and equipped to serve in their local context at their local church. And I feel that it's good stewardship of the people that God has entrusted to us as shepherds to help them be trained up and to help them develop.
I've mentioned some of the commitments within those 3 pillars, but just to quick list them off, the first commitment to the school are the Tuesday evening classes where we talk about those topics that are practical but also theologically rich and informing for the Christ follower.
So I would say that the School of Worship equipped them very well with the tools they needed to grow as both a person and as a worship leader. They grew in confidence a lot. Both of them, when we sent them, they were already pretty well-trained musicians, but sometimes stepping up and being the leader of a congregation can be intimidating. And so having those tools and knowing what to do in certain situations, how to read your congregation and be able to serve them and what they need, can be difficult and challenging, and I felt like they did a great job of equipping them both with the ability to do that.
With those Tuesday evening classes, there are readings, there are some assignments that have to do with the topics we're talking about to help us critically think and apply what we're learning.
I saw myself grow closer to Christ by reading a lot more and just spending a lot more time practicing and just being in His presence.
Students in the School of Worship will have an hour-long music lesson at Off the Wall Music in New Philadelphia, Ohio. This is to further your musical gifts. So you would pick one instrument to pursue during the year. That's every week for an hour.
One thing I noticed from the students that went through the School of Worship is that the school gave them a lot of opportunity to practice their gift and to learn. So they had a lot of reps in leading worship, in song selection, in set building and set management, and working on transitions. And I feel like I saw how the students grew through that time in their confidence.
I definitely grew in leadership in the area of like dependence on God as opposed to myself. I know I can put a lot of pressure on myself sometimes, and so just learning and just like embracing what does it look like to just be fully dependent on God. I haven't perfected that, but my faith was definitely increased in areas where I just saw God show up. It felt like every week, just every Tuesday night in those meetings, just felt like God kept showing up and just deepening my faith and strengthening me in that area.
And then we have 412 Collective Worship Nights once a month on the fourth Sunday of every month. This isn't a time necessarily where people are asked to serve, but to come and worship and be filled.
So no doubt my favorite part of the School of Worship was the sense of community we had built between all the students, the pastors, all the people that came in and taught us. And really, it was an echo of the same heartbeat as 412 Collective is, that we're just coming together with the gifts and what God's been given to us, and we're using that to serve Him, no matter what your skill set is, no matter the church you come from, or who you are.
Another commitment in the School of Worship is that every student will be discipled and mentored by somebody in the church. So if students already have that set up, they're already being discipled by somebody, we'll keep that going. But we try to shoot for once, maybe twice a month, where they're meeting with somebody that is discipling and mentoring them, where they can share what's going on in their life.
I saw the students really grow in their confidence in the gifts that God has given them, and then their ability to use those gifts to minister to the body. And I think that, again, the emphasis on people serving at the church where they came from is huge and is a big blessing. So for us at Grace Church, we had people who were being trained to lead worship, who were serving in our campuses, and it was a real blessing to have them being equipped and being trained and staying with us.
And then the last, and really maybe one of the biggest commitments, is actually putting into practice what you're learning, serving in the church, leading once a month at your church. And we tell students if they want more opportunities to serve, to lead worship, more touches, like we want to work with them and try to find more opportunities in our area in order to really practice and walk out the calling that God has placed on your life to lead His people in worship.
I feel like I grew the most in my confidence, not only as a worship leader, but as a person as well. Growing up, I was really reserved, really quiet, wanted to stay in the shadows, in the background. But every time I would take a step out in the School of Worship, and as I grew and I gained more knowledge, I also in turn gained more confidence in who God designed me as a person, but also in this role as a worship leader that He called me to. And of course, through that, I had to step into more of the public eye, more front and center, which can be super uncomfortable for me and not natural for me in any way. But I really saw the Lord really help me develop and grow in my confidence through this school.
If you feel called to join the School of Worship, I would definitely say go for it. If that's something that God laid on your heart, and I'd say it definitely first seek God and see if that's the way to go, but it's definitely worth taking the time to spend that extra time in classes and lessons, but if that's what you feel called to do, I definitely say go for it.
Do it. If you feel God is calling you, leading you in any way into any kind of worship ministry, worship leading ministry, I would definitely do it. Pray about it. Just seek His guidance, and you won't regret it. I benefited so much.
If you truly just trust the Lord in this process and deciding to join the School of Worship, I believe He's going to do incredible things. If you walk in with a humble posture to learn, to grow, and be refined, it's truly a refining process through this school ministry. My prayer during the school was Psalm 139, asking the Lord to search my heart and know me. And really, it can be a painful pruning process, but it's so beautiful in the end to see what the Lord does.
If you are interested in the School of Worship, you can go on our website, 412collective.org. You can apply on our website, but you can also find all this information and even an informational packet available for you to download on our website as well. And then we'd love to meet with you. You can contact us, email us. If you've got any questions, we'd love to be in contact with you.